This morning, the House Intelligence Committee is expected to release 2 more transcripts from key witnesses in the impeachment inquiry. This is all part of making the impeachment inquiry public. Joining us now is Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin. He serves on the House Oversight and Judiciary Committees, and he was there for these closed-door depositions. Congressman, thanks so much for being on with us. It's good to have you because obviously our viewers are busy people. They don't have time necessarily to read the hundreds of pages of these transcripts from these depositions. You were in the room. Can you just give us what your big takeaways are from having been there?
Thanks for having me. Ambassador Yovanovitch was a dedicated public servant for 3.5 decades in the State Department's Foreign Service. She was appointed ambassador twice under Republican presidents, once under a Democratic president, and served ably and had an excellent reputation. And then all of a sudden was subjected to a smear campaign where her integrity was brought into doubt, where she was accused to be an operative of George Soros, where all kinds of deranged things were being thrown at her with no basis at all. And she was basically set up for a comprehensive smear campaign by Rudy Giuliani and his henchmen, Parnas and Fruman, who were going around Ukraine. And she was told by lots of people that this was happening to her. And there was an effort by Ambassador McKinley, another distinguished Democrat, rather, take that back, a distinguished diplomat, not a Democrat. I suspect, I don't know what his political partisanship is, but he had been ambassador to Afghanistan. He'd been ambassador to, I think, Colombia, ambassador to Peru. Yeah. And he tried to get Secretary of State Pompeo to speak out on behalf of Ambassador Yovanovitch. And he refused to do it. And he said he could not believe that there was this, campaign of smears and lies against her, and the State Department would not stand up for her. And he said, basically, he ended up resigning, saying that in protest, saying that he had never seen anything like this in 37 years in his service in the State Department.
I mean, Congressman, you know what Republicans have been saying over the past few days. OK, I might not have handled things this way, but nothing illegal. Nothing illegal here. In fact, nothing even rises to the level of impeachment. OK,
well, so this, of course, was not a civil service appeal by Ambassador Yovanovitch. I mean, she was recalled and removed from her job by the president. But what it sets the stage for is all of the financial and political schemes that the president was executing along with Giuliani and his henchmen. Remember, the president organized a shakedown of the Ukrainian government in order to obtain political dirt or to manufacture political dirt on the Bidens, and in order to confirm the discredited conspiracy theory that it was Ukraine and not Russia that had interfered in the 2016 election. So the president has tried to say, well, this is just about one phone call, and it was a perfect phone call. It was a perfectly unlawful phone call, but it's not just about a phone call. It's about a whole campaign to run not a parallel shadow foreign policy, but a perpendicular foreign policy. It was working at cross purposes with Ambassador Yovanovitch, who was leading a campaign against corruption in Ukraine. And in fact, it was the president's deputies who were reviving corruption and trying to exploit the traditional corruption that took place in that country.
Well, Senator Rand Paul last night was at a Trump rally, and he wants the person, the whistleblower, who helped launch this inquiry to be made public. Listen to this.
The whistleblower needs to come before Congress as a material witness because he worked for Joe Biden at the same time Hunter Biden was getting money from corrupt oligarchs. I say tonight to the media, do your job and print his name.
What do you say to Senator Rand Paul?
I mean, very dangerous stuff to be scapegoating and targeting the whistleblower. The whistleblower is an irrelevant distraction at this point because the whistleblower was the person who said, and remember, the president emphasized this, I don't have firsthand knowledge of any of this, but I've been told a series of things by people who were involved. all of those people, or not all of them, but lots of them, have come forward very bravely over the threats of the White House to testify precisely about what they knew. Ambassador Yovanovitch is one of them. Ambassador McKinley is another. And there are a whole series of other witnesses whose depositions are going to be released this week and are going to go public. So the attempt to demonize and vilify the whistleblower is a scapegoating tactic that, again, is a distraction from the merits of the case. And you'll notice that the president's defenders are doing everything they can to distract people from what actually happened there, because there's almost complete agreement on it. Nobody is telling any story other than the president organized this shakedown against the Ukrainian government and then tried to cover it up afterwards.
Very quickly, is former National Security Advisor John Bolton going to appear on Thursday?
We don't know the answer to that, but our position is that everybody needs to appear. When you're subpoenaed by the United States Congress to come and render your testimony to the government, you come. And now they've concocted this silly thing that, oh, well, the White House can stop it by claiming absolute immunity, which is a doctrine that appears out of nowhere, like the stork brought it. No court has ever found that there's some kind of absolute immunity. On the contrary, everybody owes the sovereign their testimony. If the president could stop people from testifying in an impeachment investigation, then that would absolutely neuter the impeachment power, which the founders put into the Constitution for a reason. We don't have kings here. The president has a job to faithfully execute the laws passed by Congress. If you're not faithfully executing the law, but you're out committing high crimes and misdemeanors all over the world, then Congress will call you to account. And we're in the middle of that process right now. It's a solemn process, and we are not going to accept people defying and trampling the rule of law.
Congressman Jamie Raskin.